All right, we're back. Hopefully, the books of the Bible is something that you're not going to get sick of. But boy, it's just a lot better than just looking at things and trying to memorize them from a page. Trust me, if I can learn the books of the Old Testament using this song, you can learn the books of the Old Testament using this song. So we'll do that every week. So let's dive into what we're talking about this week: creation and the fall. First of all, we're going to talk about creation. Here's a couple of things I want you to think about. First of all, these are all going to be what we're calling rhetorical questions, which means you don't necessarily have an answer for it, but I just want you to think about it. What is time? What's space? How old do you think the world is? Why do you think we're here? Well, the Old Testament says it all began with God and that we're here for a reason. So let's take a look at some of these things. This is some deep stuff, and people, Christians of good faith, disagree in a lot of this, but we're going to talk about it today. So first of all, maybe you've heard of the word the Big Bang. Well, science tells us that there was a Big Bang and all energy came, and there was a big explosion and all energy came from something. But where did the energy come from? That's Stephen Hawking, and he has a quote. And the quote is, "The universe expanded a million, million, million times in a fraction of a second. It produces all the content of the universe quite literally out of nothing." He says he has a theory that he knows how it began, but he doesn't know why it began. And he's one of the most celebrated astrophysicists in history. So talking about kind of the connection between science and history, and sometimes that can be a rocky relationship. So let's talk a little bit more. Excuse me. There's something out there called young earth versus old earth. There are young earth believers, and they take a look at the Bible and they do some calculations and some math, and they say the earth is roughly about 6,000 years old. And there's a lot of people that's what they believe. There are also old Earth people that take a look at other factors and come up with an idea that the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Well, the question that we're talking about in the Bible, God says, if you've heard the story, and should read Genesis if you haven't, that God did certain things during a day and then rested, and then there was another day and then rested. So the question is, how long is a day? Is a day 24 hours? Is it something that's a little bit different? Like I said, Christians of good faith can disagree on this. But it's certainly something that's out there in the discussion. So take any of the math out of it, and let's just play one thing. And the game is, do they match? So here's the game about do they match. First one, the Bible in Genesis says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Genesis 1. Well, a record of nature, we know that everything that we know in science, all evidence tells us that there was a beginning, there was a start, a big bang. And about 14 billion years ago, everything came mysteriously from nothing, which is very mysterious. The universe expanded, it cooled, it matured. All right, so Genesis and nature agree there was a beginning. From nothing came something. We can argue about the years, we can argue about the earth, the age of the earth, whatever, but there was a beginning to everything. From nothing came something. Okay? Well, the Bible, let's talk about humans in Genesis 1:26-31. It says, God said, "Let us make humans in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea," and so on and so forth. Well, all right. A record of nature. In 2014, some researchers in the United Kingdom claim that Adam walked the earth about 209,000 years ago. They were new creatures that were utterly unique, and we had never seen them before. Homo sapien, the people that we are descended from. So let's take a look at that, what it says in Genesis. It says Genesis and nature's record agree that man was the last to appear on the scene, which I think is really interesting. They could have had the order completely different, but this ancient text has human beings showing up at the end, which is what nature and science, many people in nature and science who study this stuff for a living, tell us. So we can get into the weeds with details, but it's kind of interesting that at least the order is correct, and that's something to hang your hat on and something to think about between Genesis and science. So let's take a look at some conclusions. Genesis does fit well in a lot of ways with what we see in nature, what we know about nature, and we're learning more every day. It appears that people living a long time ago nailed the creation sequence that we've only recently discovered through science, which is kind of interesting too. Many questions remain, but science and religion don't necessarily have to be at odds with each other. But the relationship, as I mentioned, can be a little bit rocky. So the question is, what do you believe? What's your research telling you? What are you hearing? What's in your heart? So, the creation. We talked about the creation. Now we're going to talk about the fall. And that is the situation of God creating the first humans, Adam and Eve. Bible tells us their names are Adam and Eve, and some Christians believe in a very specific Adam and Eve, that these were people that actually existed, and this is their true story of them. Others believe in a word, it's called an allegory. It's a story that has deeper meaning. Again, Christians, faithful Christians of different stripes can have disagreements on this. Just want to let you know that both of these thoughts are out there. They believe that it's a story that has a deeper meaning, that there wasn't necessarily an Adam and Eve, but the story and what it teaches us is interesting and helpful. So let's take a look at what Adam and Eve's all about. God created a perfect world. God placed Adam and Eve in the garden to care for it. But God said, one tree, don't take anything from it. Don't look at it, or don't taste any of the fruit from it. But Adam and Eve broke God's command, and they tasted the fruit. Sin entered the world, and with it came death. So I'm going to give you a chance here to watch a little video that's a kind of a 3 or 4 minute update and review, excuse me, that's what I should say, a review on the Adam and Eve story. So take a couple of minutes and watch this video, and I'll see you on the other side in just a second.